we all know about C.J. Stroud and Bryce Young. Who are some underrated quarterbacks that you think we should keep an eye on? I'm listening from Salt Lake City, Utah. Back-to-back Salt Lake City and Ogden, Utah. Very much in the house tonight. We talked about the Utes, so good for us and good for you. Aidan O'Connell to shift entirely east. West Lafayette, Indiana, to be exact. Aidan O'Connell at Purdue. He's been there forever, but he does not get a lot of national run. But what if I told you, blind resume time, I got a guy who he was on a team. He missed one game last year. His team threw for 355.4 yards per game. He had 2+ touchdowns in 8 games last year, including the last 6 of the season. He's a 71.6% completion percentage guy last year. You would say, who is that? Is that that's not Bryce Young, is it? No. But you would start to whisper, is it one of those elite names I hear all the time? No, man, it's Aidan O'Connell at Purdue. These people think they're going to win the Big Ten West this year, in large part due to Aidan O'Connell. You know, that's why that game against Penn State in Week 1 is so important. They were tied with, like everyone, for second in the division last year. But imagine if they beat Penn State. It's a 3-point spread, guys. It's not insurmountable. If they beat Penn State in Week 1, number one, it'll be due to him. And then Aidan O'Connell will have this spotlight win, and they'll be off to the races there because the rest of their schedule is very, very workable. And all of a sudden, you'll be tuning into Purdue. Those of you who played the fantasy college football game, you'll be fighting over broken glass to try and get Aidan O'Connell. That's a guy who should already be a household name. He is to folks like us, man, that like the diehard crowd's not hearing any breaking news here. But not casuals, but the casual college football crowd probably doesn't know him as much as they should. I think you will this year. Jaren Hall is another name that I want you to know about. He's a little bit older now. He's at Brigham Young. He's already done his mission. I think he's a double redshirt guy, so he's like in his 23, 24-year range. I mean, he's going to be a 25-year-old guy by the time he gets to the NFL. He is excellent at extending plays. Everyone's drunk on that now. Always should have been, but everyone's drunk on that now. You watch Pat Mahomes and you want someone who can do what he does. I'm not comparing the two, mind you. I'm just saying that characteristic is there. He's a very good thrower on the run. Doesn't just chuck it up. Doesn't just run around and gain you 3 yards, running 90 yards to do it. He's got plus arm strength, not elite arm strength, but he's got the lowest career interception percentage in Brigham Young history. Even lower than Zach Wilson. So that's always a positive. He's a leader, good decision maker. They all talk glowingly about him, but here's the thing you need to know about Jaren Hall. When you look at Brigham Young's schedule this year, they're going to be in the national spotlight so frequently. They play Baylor, they play at Oregon, they play Notre Dame in Las Vegas, and did you know Arkansas goes to Brigham Young this year? You know my thoughts on the scheduling process at Arkansas? Far be it for me to tell them how to run their athletic department, but my goodness, yes. So with that in mind, Mr. Hall is going to be on the national radar a lot this year. I think he stands a good chance of shining, and therefore don't get caught being the last person to know about Jaren Hall. Phil Jurkovec at Boston College was good last year, and then he got hurt, and then Boston College's hopes and dreams went down the drain with that, and they kind of disappeared off any kind of regional or national radar once he got hurt. He, unlike some of these other guys, he's not one of those 6'1", 200 kind of guys. He's big. He's like Ben Roethlisberger kind of, 6'5", 215, and he's compared a lot to Roethlisberger because he can run the ball a little bit. Burly, lumbering, these are adjectives that are used to describe his game. 8 rushing touchdowns past 2 seasons. The thing that's keeping more people from talking about him and his team this upcoming year is offensive line and defensive line are a big question at Boston College, but I think it lends well to this particular segment because with Jurkovec back and him being a senior, it's his contract year for all intents and purposes. He's got his wide receiver stable back. So if nothing else, they'll throw the ball a lot up there. 3rd season under Hafley, they need to get some traction this year. I think they'll do it this year. And I think he'll obviously be a big reason why. So he's not a new name. He's been there for a long time, but I think he's an underrated name. And last but not least, this is one that hardly anyone knows about yet. You really got to be following the transfer portal close to know about Cameron Ward. But that was a guy who was running the triple option in high school. We talked about him, I think, last week. Ran the triple option in high school, had one offer out of high school, took it. He goes to Incarnate Word, and I think he won the Jerry Rice Award, which is the top freshman of the year, was offensive player in the conference, offensive player of the year last year, and so he goes to Washington State. Now, he put up big numbers at Incarnate Word. 11 games of 300-plus passing yards last year, had 4-plus passing touchdowns in 8 games. I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, well, that's FCS competition. Now he's going to play Power 5 competition. Fine, think that. What I'm saying is he was the buzz name in the offseason. He was the buzz name. He was the guy that a lot of folks kept whispering about to us. He was the one where everyone else wanted to talk about Caleb Williams, but everyone knows Caleb Williams. Everyone knows Spencer Rattler. They kept saying, hey, the kid that just came out of Incarnate Word, you may not know how to find that school on a map, but you need to pay attention to him. Because his head coach there, Eric Morris, for those of you interested, went to Washington State as the offensive coordinator. So you get the head coach and play caller from that school. You get the quarterback from that school. They obviously had something clicking there, and now they go to Washington State, which is just one of a number of reasons why when you look at the Pac-12 schedule, you don't fear Washington State, but you don't have a clue about Washington State. And you could look and you could see you just had a 1,000-mile road trip and then, I got to go to Pullman, Washington this week. And you have no clue what you're facing at quarterback. It could be that Cam Ward peaked at the FCS level. That could be the case. Or it could be he's Trey Lance and ends up being a first-round NFL draft pick, and you're listening to story after story about how this once overlooked player from Incarnate Word went to Washington State and lit it up. Wouldn't be the first time someone did that there. And all of a sudden he's a household name. Everyone can say that after the fact. My point is he could be that and no one knows it yet. And you got teams going in there totally unprepared to face that kind of talent. At the very least, he's a guy to watch. So Aidan O'Connell, Jaren Hall, Phil Jurkovec, Cam Ward, those are 4 underrated quarterbacks.